welcome to another segment of Open House here at Community Media South Central PA. This is the show that we bring awesome, amazing people that have huge hearts for our community into Community Media's studio, and we share what they're doing for the community with you. I am Raymond Galker, and I have Lara Wabble with me.
Yes.
And Laura is our marketing and public relations director. And the individuals we have representing Bethany's Christian Services of South Central PA and their Safe Family program for children. We have Elaine Shenk and John Diaz. I want to say Diaz, but it's Dizon.
It's Dizon.
Dizon.
Yep.
Okay. By design, it's Dizon. Okay. So thanks for taking the time to come in and share what you're doing with the community. When I look at our community media is about celebrating who we are and what we do as a community. But a thriving, safe, and vibrant community is one that's connected. And one of the most important elements of a community is the children. And that's something that we here at Community Media really realized this past year. So I'm really excited about bringing you in and talking about what you do for the families and the kids. So let's start with Elaine.
All right.
Elaine, tell us who you represent.
Okay, well, my name is Elaine, and I am one of the directors of Bethany Christian Services of Central Pennsylvania. We cover the 26 counties in the middle of Pennsylvania. We also have a branch that is the eastern portion, which is the greater Delaware Valley, and we have a branch that covers the western portion of Pennsylvania, which is our western branch. But actually, Bethany Christian Services is a national organization that's been around for almost 80 years. And we have become specialists in adoption and foster care and family strengthening and family empowerment. And we believe that every child deserves a family. And we believe that children belong with their families. So while we originally had been with adoption and foster care, we have pivoted a bit more to trying to keep children with their biological families. So that's our first defense. That's our first line that we work toward, which is why we're going to talk about safe families for children. But in the event that that doesn't work, we also have excellent foster care services where we work to train and approve families that are highly qualified to work with children who have come from hard places and who have been through trauma. Our branch in central Pennsylvania has been here for almost 40 years. We're getting ready to celebrate that in September. And we've been in Adams County for a long time. Safe Families for Children is new to this area, but we have been providing foster care services and post-adoption supports for at least 15 years here. So it's not a new county to us, and I'm very happy to say that. Some of the other services that we provide is we do pregnancy counseling for people who find themselves in an unexpected situation. We give options counseling. We don't automatically say you need to place this child for adoption because, again, we want children to stay with their parents. That is the best place for them. So what is the obstacle? What is the issue? What are their choices truly that are standing in their way to parent this child? And so we go through a process with them. We sit with them. We talk with them about their options. And that's one of the things that I do in my role is oversee the pregnancy counseling. We have domestic adoption and we prepare families to become adoptive parents. We do foster care where we work with the state of Pennsylvania, providing all the units of services for foster care families and for children in the foster care system. We have a program called Renew, which is for recovering mothers of newborns, women who have struggled with substance abuse. And those children, in spite of their mother's addictions, those children should be with their mothers. And maybe they've already lost children because of their addictions, and those moms aren't parenting those children, but they deserve another chance. And we work with them, and it's a year-long program, and we work with them on parenting skills, on rehab, and getting those children to be able to stay with their moms. It's just a very redemptive and wonderful program, and a lot of hard work. We have counseling, we have equine therapy, we have, and I'm losing it. What am I forgetting, John?
Oh, one of the other ones is Home Builders.
Oh,
That's a great program.
Yes, yes. Home Builders is actually contracted with county children and youth, where again it's before a children and youth agency removes the children from a family home, and again it's a prevention program. We're all about prevention. We're coming in and doing intensive in-home services to work with the parents on parenting skills. What needs to happen to prevent children from being removed from their biological parents? So much of our focus now is not the aftermath, but what can we do to prevent families from being torn apart by the systems? We realize now that a lot of our child welfare systems are very archaic in that we want to remove children from their biological homes, and that in and of itself has caused more trauma. So we start first with what do we need to do to keep children with their families, and sometimes there is a place for children being removed from their families, but then when that happens, what can we do to mitigate the harm and the loss that's being done? So it's noble work, it's holy work, it's messy work. And Bethany's role then is we will support the families that have chosen to engage, to become foster parents, to become adoptive parents, to become safe families, host families. In all of this, we are in it for the long haul. We will stand by you, we are invested, and we provide training. We are really committed to the children and the families that are involved in this.
So who are some of the organizations that you work with in Adams County?
So we work with Adams County Children and Youth. We work with churches. We work with other child placing agencies, other affiliates that also do adoption and foster care, because there is enough work for everyone. So there isn't really a competition between us. We try to spur each other on to do our best work. And we try to encourage each other with, this is a resource that we found. This is a support group we're running. This is a training that we're offering. And so there's not so much well, this is our line, don't cross it, because there's so much work to be done. And there's plenty of people that need all of our help.
So you're very intentional and strategic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Laura, that's something that we find in Adams County is the nonprofits, they tore down the walls between themselves. And, like Elaine was saying, that, one nonprofit maybe be a little bit honed at doing a certain program more than another, or it might just be that they can relate to an individual differently than another, but it has made our community stronger.
That's for sure.
Well, I think you were reading my mind with that question, because I believe you mentioned that your physical location is in Harrisburg.
So we have an office in York, but it's probably equidistant from here to go to the York office or the Harrisburg office, because you can't get there from here.
Sure. Well, I was wondering those connections, and we're basically close enough to Gettysburg, being here in New Oxford and Hanover. So when you were mentioning about in-home services, is there like a mile radius for that? But then I guess you sort of answered that with Ray's question about your connections to other organizations, churches, and things like that in the area. Then is that how you?
Yeah. So home builders in particular would not be offered in Adams County yet.
Okay.
So if that would happen, then that would be funded through Adams County Children and Youth, and they have not contracted with us for that. That's in a different county. But for Safe Families for Children, and so it always comes down to who contracted for certain programs. Some of our programs are funded through donors, are funded through churches, and then are funded through contracts, are funded through grants. It's always about the financing too.
Sure, that was my other question.
In this nonprofit world
Right.
that we're in. So in Adams County, we do have a contract with the county Children and Youth. We do have churches that support us, and we do take donations from individuals and groups, and we do have some grants from some Adams County foundations. And so that's where we get our support to run our things through Adams County.
So-
do you want to interrupt me?
No, I do not. But I will.
Yes, please do. Please do.
And it's free game here. You have something to say, please share it, because you guys are living such a great purpose. There's nothing stronger than a family, and there's
Yes.
nothing more precious than our youth. And you guys are great advocates, and everyone, even I, need advocates.
Right.
There's nothing like an advocate. Nothing like an advocate. But your program, you have people channeled to you through the churches.
Yes.
That's how you're contacted, or does individuals or a family could contact you and say, hey, I need your help?
Well, let's switch to Safe Families for Children in particular and talk about that, because the answer to that is yes.
Yes. So basically, to answer your question, is a family who's facing a crisis such as homelessness or some sort of medical emergency, they can self-referral through bethany.org/safefamilies, so they can keep their family. So our goal is family preservation. The mom, dad, or both, the whole family gets to stay together before it goes to children and youth. That's why we got the grant, and I got to thank Elaine personally, because she helped with the funding and got us this opportunity to grow here in Adams County. So those little connections there are just really, really big, because they believe in our ministry and our movement to grow here so we can help with family preservation. So the family could send a referral. We actually get notified in our system, and we assign our assigned territories depending on who handles the referrals. We have case managers. We call them outreach coordinators. Will be in touch with the family. So any organization can or services can send a referral, but always the parent has to be notified and given the okay, because the last thing you want to do is call the parent and they're saying, I did not send a referral to you. And,
Yes.
and so you want to make sure they know, because they have the right to not take our services.
Yes.
So it's always with their permission, because they have the custody, the custody remains. And the goal is to host the vulnerable children with our network of host families. So we have about 40 host families in Central PA representing York, Adams County. I think we have 2 or 3 currently, or at least going to be in process. We have in Harrisburg, in Cumberland County, a combination of 13, and our biggest network is Lancaster County at 20 volunteers. So almost 40 volunteers that we have in Central PA that can go cross-county, the kids, to be hosted, depending on the age. So if they're before school age, that's a little easier to go cross-county. But if it's an Adams County school district type of child, we try to keep them as close as we can to the family and rely on the school district to help with transportation in need if the host family is hosting that child for the short term, depending if it's a week, a month. Every case varies.
But the first thing isn't the hosting family. The first thing is the family.
Correct.
You go into that person's home and you work with them in trying to solidify a workable relationship.
Yes, so we do that actually over the phone because we have to reach out to them. We actually never have to go and step into the family's home. Some of them are homeless, so they may not even have a residential address. So we actually are in contact with them, or they might be in a recovery center. Every case is different. But our goal is to tell them about our services, what we offer, and then establish with our caseworkers goals for them to meet. If it's giving them support, family support is a goal. When you're dealing with poverty in their lens, they don't have the resources. And our goal as Safe Families, and even with Bethany, is just to really connect together the dots. That's why we champion and we network with all our other services. We don't have housing in our area, so we need to find out who can help with housing if that's a goal of the client. If it's mental health, who can we come and partner with? So it's not just us. Many hands make light work.
To that.
Yeah, and we believe that, and boldly, that we are called to help the needy. Jesus calls us to serve. He has a leadership example of servant leadership. So even for us as a nonprofit, before we come in and ask, we got to build a relationship, because Jesus and God is a relational God. So you got to think about it. We should knock and really say, how can we serve this community? How can we build a relationship with you? And then let's disciple together, because Jesus says, come follow me. And he makes that into a discipleship ministry so we can help and reach out to these families, and in hopes that they can see the hope of the gospel. And that's what Bethany, Safe Families, and all these services in the community is about. It's about building that community. Community media, look at your name. It's about community, and that's what we represent. First and foremost before anything else. And that equals to family preservation.
And interestingly, if you think about how our society has changed, when you and I were young, if I had a crisis with my kids, or if I had a family crisis, or my husband lost his job, I would have called my mother, or I would have called my brother and said, hey, can you keep my kids for a couple weeks while my husband and I regroup, or I am in the hospital with my child? But here we have families that are completely torn apart. They don't have any close relatives. And so they're hitting these huge crises of, I lost my job, I've been evicted, I need to go to the hospital, and there's no one to keep my toddler. And they have nowhere to turn. Safe Families is giving them an option of making a support network for them. And these people do become family.
Yes.
So that's the family preservation, and we're creating family community for them without exacerbating this situation of falling apart. And it's amazing to me, people in poverty, people that don't have any support network, how it quickly spirals. So you have someone lose their job, right? They're evicted. There is no grace. Well, I'm sorry, you can't pay your rent. Psst, you're out. Well, now you don't have a place. Oh, then all of a sudden, their children are removed from them. You can't sleep in your car. That's child abuse. Your kids are taken away. Now we have homeless, jobless, without your kids. They're feeling stressed. They're going to start drinking or using drugs because they feel so bad. Now we have, what's wrong with the people in our country that they're doing all these bad things? Well, it started up here. How can we come in up here and prevent all of this? So the point of Safe Families for Children is child abuse prevention, child neglect prevention, foster care prevention. And we do it by getting involved upriver instead of blaming down here. That's the beauty of prevention services. And it's so much cheaper, if I may add, since I'm the fund person.
You may.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so, we're so passionate about this because, and I'm going to share with you some of my personal testimony, because in 2008, I converted to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Amen.
But before that even happened, I did not have a circle of support. I worked in Disney World, Disney property to be exact, at a hotel. And I was starting out as just a cook. my wife is a disabled veteran, and we had 2 kids together. And we had no network of support. My nearest network of support is my parents, and they live 3 hours away. So if it wasn't for the church that really gathered and loved on my family and helped care for my kids, because yeah, I had some family, but they all worked, they had their own lives,
Right.
and I don't think we would have made it through. I don't think I would have made it through my marriage. And it was because of those resources and people mentoring me to say, I can do that. I can get out of the situation and be out of the poverty situation at $10 an hour as a cook and grow into a management position, which I did. And it's because of that empowerment of the community pouring into my family. And so when I had the opportunity to work about a year ago and Elaine was interviewing me, I said, I want to serve this community wholeheartedly. She remembers that as of yesterday, right? And
Yes.
And here we are today, and I'm able to do that. And I'm so happy and honored and privileged to be able to do that, to serve under Bethany and Safe Families and be able to reach out to the community here because there is a need. And the problem is we actually don't have enough resources to potentially cater to some of these families in need. So we need to support our volunteers too. It goes both hands holistically. So the family is also our volunteers. They become our extended family. We as the employees, the volunteers are part of our family and the clients. So it really is a really big family that we could build, and it becomes a beautiful ministry. Imagine having your client and the host family invite them to Christmas, because they don't have a place to go to for Christmas.
Right.
Christmas gifts for the children, because they become that extended family. If it wasn't for those type of extensions, even when I grew up as a kid, my second mother, Mommy Pearl, passed away just about a couple weeks ago. But when I was a little kid, she cared for me. She took care of me. My parents both worked, and so they didn't have a circle of support. And she became that next family, and her husband and the whole family. And that's what it's about. There's something beautiful about that. I'm spending the holidays with them. When I was growing up, I remember all those things. And it's nice to say, hey, we could do that, because I have that forever ingrained. I haven't seen her for 15 years, but I still remember those things, and I care to give that back. And I hope that people see that vision, that this really does, in the long term, help somebody.
Well, I like the word that you just used, that they can see that. I'm thinking so many things as I listen to both of you. I had the privilege of just meeting you. We got to chat even last Saturday, but I think it's not just a title that you wear or something you say that you do, but it emulates from who you are. This is who you are. And, I think there's a saying or an expression that people don't remember what you said, but how you made them feel, And so when you're inviting people, I love the word safe. I wanted to highlight that too as the title in your organization. When people actually feel safe, I love that. We all want to feel safe, connected, cared for, and I think too to be able to impart not just to children and youth, but the parents, the grandparents, the families, that family is more than just the blood in your DNA.
Yes.
We were built for connection, like you were saying.
Yes.
So I'm honored,
Thank you.
to be sitting at this table with both of you and hearing your passion and what you do for families. If I could rewind to a question, I know before we got started here, I was asking the history, and maybe you can help me differentiate Bethany from Safe Families. You said the founding was Michigan?
Grand Rapids,
and
Michigan.
it started as foster care.
Well, actually, two single women took in 2 orphans.
Wow.
And then that grew into Bethany Christian Home, where they took in orphans, and this would have been after World War II in the 40s.
Okay.
And that grew, and that was their, they were very brave because they were single women in a
Wow.
time when that wasn't a thing.
Right.
And slowly, so their first call was to adoption. And really, Bethany Christian Services became the #1 adoption agency in the nation. And we
Wow.
held that title for a very, very long time.
Wow.
And it's only been recently that we moved more toward family strengthening, family preservation.
So you're very multifaceted.
We are.
You're not just like this little thing in the cup here, but you're just like a diamond.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And I think what sets us apart is that we want to be an agency of excellence and an agency of integrity. Of course, we're motivated by our faith. We don't have to work with Christians, but we are motivated
Sure.
because we want to be the hands and feet of Jesus in everything that we do.
And I think it's evident in the fruit of, how you just responded to my question, the longevity and the foundation and the way that it's continued to grow. That's the key of what we're standing on here, and so thank you again.
Well, you were talking about SAFE, and I flipped back. So I love Safe Families, and one of the things that we always say is everyone that works in Safe Families has a Safe Family story. All of us have a reason why we do that.
Sure.
So I helped start Safe Families for Children back at Bethany in 2010. That's how long I've been at Bethany. But my first love is actually adoption because I'm an adoptive mom of 4.
Wow.
They are all adults now, so they laugh like, oh, Mom, you're talking
Yeah.
about Bethany Christian Services again. But my love is adoption and working with adoptive families. And there are 3 things that we say every person needs. And one of them is felt safety. And that is more than just saying, oh, you're safe.
Right.
You're fine. It's saying that the person themselves feel safe, that they feel like they can trust themselves in your care. So felt safety. The second one that they need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that they're precious. And do we tell people, you're precious? And I remember when I took my daughter's face in my hands, I said, you're precious. And she was old. She was an older, like teen, 20s, and she melted. Like, I just wanted her to know that it didn't matter what she did, no matter what, you're precious. Because every person has value just because they're created in the image of God.
Yes.
They can be sitting in jail. They can be sitting in a shelter.
Yes.
They can be sitting on the curb. They have value.
Yes, they
Can
do.
we look at people like that?
Yes.
You're precious. And the third thing is they have a voice. We need to allow people to speak for themselves. And we do an awful lot of shutting people up. We tell them what they need. Well, I know what you need. Actually, how about we be quiet? What do you need?
Well, that concept of voice keeps coming up as we talk to givers in the community, servers. We have Thrive Ministries in Hanover, Juliet Charo, and she started because of her experience in life as being abused, an abused wife, and through her church, it just grew because people came to her, and she was helping them because she's like you guys. You guys like loving on people. You know what I mean?
That's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. So then it grew to providing a service for the husbands. And then it went to the teens because there's no services out there for individuals like that. And when we talked to her, she talked about the teens and people who have been abused usually have their voice knocked out of them.
Yes.
And even when you give them a chance to have a voice, they don't know where to find the voice, and they don't even know what the voice would say. And so that was one of the things that as a community station we're looking forward to is how can we help our youth, how can we help our community have a voice? And we do that here at Community Media. So that's interesting that you said that. But I remember Elaine and John and Lara. I don't know if you guys had this experience, but I'd be able to go halfway through town, walk into my relative's house, open up their refrigerator, and make myself a bowl of cereal, even if they're not there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as society has grown, there's many different layers of relationships now. And if you're on that level of relationship that I just talked to you about, I guess you think that you really don't see the other layers. And there's more people that don't have a family, like you said, or the family is not as reactive or available, or for some reason bridges have been burnt. And both parents have to work. Not just one, but both have to work. What happens to those kids? But you only jump in when there's a problem.
Correct. Yeah, we jump in when there is a crisis. We are still prevention, but to a certain extent, because our goal for serving the community is making sure that when there is a crisis, the children are actually, and this is the key indicators when we listen to these referrals that are sent to us by clients or services or even people in the community, we're listening to what's going on with the children. Are they in danger? Are they vulnerable to some neglect, abuse, or some form of any crisis that puts them in form of endangerment? So we have to listen carefully, because if the family is still functional, they are able to have a home, they are able to work, we can provide the services and network, but we wouldn't open up our referrals, because opening up a host family's home, that's a lot. You just kind of alluded to something. Family's messy, Ministry is not always easy, and that's the one thing we tell our volunteers. Like, when you talk to our clients, it's not going to be easy, and you cannot go into a rescue to a savior's complex or mentality. You're not trying to fix the situation. You're trying to teach them how to fish so they can feed themselves for a lifetime.
We as humans are messy. I'm messy.
Yeah, right. It's true.
Human life is messy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it is.
life isn't easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you become resilient. You learn skills as adults, but families who are just trying to make it one day to the next. Children who are seeing things happening and not learning how to have confidence.
Right.
How to find their potential.
Right.
Yes.
What is their purpose? For them to decide and realize what their purpose is.
One of the things I would hope, though, and I think that this can happen as we train our Safe Families volunteers, is that we can also teach a sensitivity to see. I think that there's also within, and I'm not trying to be critical of the church in general, but there is a bit of a blinders on where we don't see what's going on. Or we feel that the problem is too big for us to get involved in. But as we get involved in what we call Safe Families churches, and we're going in and we're training volunteers and we're teaching about the needs in the community, and when they're driving down 2nd Street in Harrisburg and seeing all the people at the bus stop or in Tent City or whatever, instead of saying, well, that's too overwhelming, I can't do anything, maybe they can't do anything about that particular situation. But if they notice that there's a youth whose parents are both working and the kid is spending an awful lot of time at home alone, maybe they would feel a little more equipped to say, hey, why don't you at least come over after school and hang out at our house until your parents get home from work, So part of it is equipping people, equipping the church to get involved. We're afraid. We are afraid to step into others' lives. And we're very sterile about that. And that's why there is a resistance to become foster parents. That's why there is a resistance to become Safe Families host families. Well, I'm too busy. And well, it would just really mess up my birth order. Or it would really, like, that would just be a mess. Well, and it's too expensive. And well, what would I do with, the excuses are huge list. And what can we do? What can we do to increase the sensitivity to just the needs around us? I'm weird. I go into a grocery store, and yes, I know people talk to me all the time. I have one of those faces, but I look people in the face at the grocery store and say, "How are you? Oh, do you need help with that? Let me get that door for you." Can we just be kind and get involved and lower or increase our sensitivity to the world around us? That would be a start, I think.
Well, and I think, too, it starts with loving ourselves. And if we're not secure enough in that, how can we connect with those around us? And I hear that coming out of both of you. That's what you're trying to bring people to that place. Even when you were giving those 3 steps, come back to my thought. Give me a second here. I lost my thought just like that.
It will come back to you.
Oh, I got it. I got my thought. Here it is. And I heard the word door, but I think a lot of organizations, they say, here, our door is open, come to us. But you're so much more than that. You're saying, let me open the door for you. Yes. And I see you opening the door for people to begin the healing process. Those 3 steps, it sounds so simple, and yet for so many people that are wounded, and I would even use the word epidemic, what we're facing right now with so much anxiety and mental health, and where do I go? Somebody fix that. Do I just take this pill? Where do I find a counselor? How much is that going to cost? I don't have time because this is my job. And so to be able to offer in gentleness that safe place, it starts with 1 step. Let me open the door for you so that you can begin the healing process. And it's safe to do that, again, because you see people that are self-protect, self-preserve, independent. I can do it myself, And I think from even older generations, we shut things down, that voice. I don't have a voice. It's shameful to talk about that. What is safe? I just love that. I think it really goes back to that word.
Yes.
It's like your umbrella, your canopy of protection, like safe.
Yeah.
And this is why, and I love it.
And safe isn't withdrawn.
Yeah.
No.
You're not meant to be withdrawn. And there's fear. There's fear of being abused, fear of being judged, and
You might be taken
Yes.
advantage of, and that happens.
Oh, yes.
Because when you're a helper, you might, that money that you gave somebody, they might use it for the wrong thing. Well, how about that?
Yeah.
Right.
So there's so many layers and philosophies that we could talk about, but your program.
Yes.
You have many layers of a program. One of them is the Safe Families program. And the Safe Families program has been around for many, many years. Congratulations on starting it, being one of the instruments there.
Thank you.
And John, congratulations on being the person who's going to unfold this service here in Adams County.
We are looking for someone full-time. There is a job opening. We are interviewing for a coordinator that will help with the outreach to the community, with the cases to our clients. We do have a job opening, and it will be on bethany.org/careers, and you look up on Adams County, and you'll see a outreach and engagement coordinator for Safe Families for Children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I will say we are down to 3 candidates, so hopefully that will
be filled here before,
hopefully before
we're
this
done
gets
talking.
right.
It might be, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, an interview is happening today. But I will say for anyone who listens, please, if anything that we're saying about Bethany says, I would love to work for an organization, we do have job openings all the time. So please look at our career page because we are looking for positions.
You have job openings, but isn't Safe Family a lot of volunteers? It's
So
based
for
on
us,
volunteer.
we do need a
Yes, we
base of
always-
volunteers. We currently, we were just looking at the tracker.
Yes.
We currently, after September, will have 3 volunteers that can help in this community.
We would love more volunteers.
But with your combined, that's a total of 7. We would love to increase that volunteer support because,
We need
again,
about 25.
yeah, many hands make light work.
Yes.
Yes.
We really need the community to come across our host families or a family who's willing to host, but you as a community come across and help them. See, it's not my network. If I'm helping somebody, you're going to be in my network of support of friends and family and church, and we're going to blanket around you. That's the real big picture when we have somebody who's willing to open their homes and host. And in that network is your church. And in that church, giving you the resources and being able to come and blanket around you as the person who's hosting these children. So it's a layer of different opportunities to volunteer besides hosting. Could be just giving a resource. It could be just giving that family who's hosting just a little break, by just taking care of the children.
Giving a meal.
Giving a meal. It could be going and transporting the client to job interviews. Like, you become proactive in helping achieve the goals for the client. There's many ways to serve and save families as a community. And that's the big picture. A lot of the times, like you just mentioned, that we are very independent. And then we don't think about the people in my network that can really come across and willing to help. Your credibility was built for a reason. And you got to use that.
That's good.
So that
Everybody
way-
can do something.
Everybody. But you got to be vocal. You got to speak up
Gotta have a voice.
and have a
Yep.
voice and talk with each other. But if you don't talk and you just close the door and say, I'm going to take care of this because I'm embarrassed or I'm supposed to have this together. No, we're not. We just mentioned it. Life is messy, right? And if we don't claim that we can that we need help, especially when we're helping others, then how are we really representing Christ? We're imperfect people who worship a perfect God.
Even a person has it together, life is more rewarding and fulfilled if someone is there celebrating or giving you a hand. But I'm trying to get a clarity here. So I volunteer for a safe family. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to be taking on a family.
Correct.
Okay, as a volunteer, you're going to be trained on how to go and be an advocate for that family.
That could be one thing.
Yes.
So let's start at the top.
Yeah.
Start at the top,
Want me to
John.
start at the top? Okay.
Start at the
So,
top.
along with Bethany.org/Save Families, there's 2 buttons on the top that says Get Help. That's for the service, for somebody who needs help to host their children for a short term. But on another button, it says Volunteer. So they're going to click that volunteer button, fill out the information, because what's going to happen is they're going to be able to get a contact from either me or another representative of Safe Families to talk about the opportunities to volunteer. So some of those, which you're mentioning, the host families, the ones that host the children for a short term.
That's one
amount of time.
option.
So that's one option. The family friend option is a volunteer support to team up and they'll come over to the host family and say, hey, listen, let's watch these kids together. I'm going to give some of my time to make sure we do this together. Or I could transport the client. I can be in touch with the client to help achieve their goals. They might even have them babysit for a short amount of time in their own home. If they're
Doing
appropriate.
life together.
Yeah, doing life together.
They could bring a meal.
The resource friend will bring the meals,
I forgot,
the
resource
gift
friend.
cards and everything. And then you got the ministry lead who runs the church, the Safe Families Church. So we try to get to churches involved to say, hey, listen, this is a ministry that we can build together. And we're going to build a team that runs it. It's volunteer ran in the church, but not a pastor. There's a lot of fatigue from pastors. They got a lot of ministry going on, and we understand that. And it's just capturing that big picture that, hey, listen, we're going to do this as a community, not, hey, I got to run this as a pastor. We understand your stance. We understand what's going on. We're not trying to give you another item to do, your list of things of counseling to preparing for Sunday sermon to doing, all the administrative duties.
So you said family friend,
Yep. Resource friend.
host family,
Yep.
resource friend, ministry lead, and there's also a volunteer family coach.
Family coach, I was going to lead to that.
Yep, and a family coach is actually like an outreach coordinator except volunteer. and they would actually help because the paid staff sometimes can't get out to do home safety checks or take help with transportation, or sometimes in place of the professional. So there's 5 volunteer positions that you can volunteer for.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay. So, I'm a little teary now. You're not signing up to be part of a church as a volunteer. You're not signing up to the religion is in essence that people have to decide for themselves. They have to live it. It has to be personal. But they don't have to join your religion, or
Getting at.
they don't have to be religious in order to be a volunteer.
The Safe Families model works best if it is a church-run ministry. That is how the model is set up, so that it's a church-run ministry with Bethany and Safe Families as the professional umbrella. We actually tried to work ourselves out of a job, in essence. So, because we'll take care of the liability insurance, we'll take care of the training, we'll take care of the nitty-gritty social services, child welfare laws, when Childline needs to be, that's us. That's what Bethany, Safe Families for Children does, all the legal paperwork kind of stuff. But in the model, as the Safe Families Alliance out in Chicago says, it's a church ministry. But you, as a volunteer, don't have to be part of a church, but we will try to plug you in to a church, because if the idea is a network of support, you can't be a lone ranger. That's contrary to the model. That's contrary to the whole concept of plugging in and being community. Church, in its essence, is community.
Right.
So popcorn families, as we call them, don't work. So no, you don't have to, but it doesn't work if you say, I'm out in the middle of Timbuktu and I want to be a host family. Okay, but we're going to connect you to these people, get to know them, because they're going to be your network of support. We don't do Lone Rangers.
Lone Rangers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're going to
Did I say
acknowledge,
that?
yes, you said it very well.
Okay.
And it's like they have to sign off that and acknowledge that we are a Judean church movement that they're working and teaming up with. If they are not necessarily a Christian or non-religious or atheist to even agnostic at most. But at the end of the day, they will be assigned to a church because they need that support. They cannot be a Lone Ranger. They got to have, they have to acknowledge that they are supporting a faith-based ministry.
So there's churches are already a community. Do you have certain churches who are already partnering with you?
Oh, yes, but we're looking for more.
Or can you share?
Sure. Definitely right now we have in this area that just donated, we're talking about, I would say 8,000 diapers, 3,000 wipes, and monetary essentials of like $400 for gift cards for our clients. These churches are Rouserville Church, Mount Carmel, and they did this fundraiser all in July with us. And the third church was Ortana Community Church. Like these churches gathered together in the community, and all we did was just receive it. I have a picture. I will share it with you if you want to see it. Of my car loaded with just diapers and
Oh, they're
wipes.
expensive diapers.
They are.
And then 3
They
flights
are.
of stairs to put in the York office. I mean, I was like, just making this big heave. Like, and someone was like, hey, there's people in the meeting. You're making too much noise. I'm like, I will deal with that
breathe.
later. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
How heavy can diapers be?
It's amazing.
3 or 4, it's about 15, 20 pounds at a time if you're carrying them up because, you know, there was a lot. I mean,
So the vision, the model is, you've been active in Adams County, but now you're trying to bring this model to Adams County.
Yes, we are.
Correct.
And eventually what will happen is we will have numerous churches all working together.
The churches
all
need to
coordinating.
network together, too.
Yeah,
Yes.
all
Yes.
coordinating with Bethany's Safe Family program and the other services you have to offer.
Yes.
Correct.
Because the Safe Families program is meant to keep the family together, support the family, not taking the kids out for the support, but to support the kids in their homes.
That's
and if
correct.
the families don't have a home, you have a network of people that's trying to help you get to the point where you can maintain a home.
Correct.
Yes.
That's
Now, if
correct.
it gets to the point where the kids have to be pulled out, your program will pull the kids out for a period of time and work with the family.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, if it gets to the point where the children are definitely going to be pulled away from the family, then you have another level of your program where you have people trained to adopt possibly.
So what we would do first is we would request to the Children and Youth Agency if they would consider placing them in one of Bethany's foster homes.
Okay.
And a lot of times that's honored. Not always, but a lot of times it has been honored, because if we can do that, then it's kept within our system where we are already familiar with the child, we're already familiar with the family, and we can continue, we call it continuity of care. And again, the first step of foster care is reunification.
So you're not giving up on the family.
We are not
ever.
giving up on the family. And even our foster care system is reunification and working to get that child back into the home.
So Safe Families chapter of Central PA, just to give you some data, we have a 99% retention of family preservation. 99%.
Yeah.
And nationally, Safe Families, in a national move, it's 95.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
doing pretty good in family preservation.
Yes.
In that aspect.
Yeah.
So we got a great team. A lot of our team members are pretty new, but with that being said, it's a nice refreshing lens, a new way of building ministry and seeing other ways how we could plug. We innovate together. We do life together because we share one another with prayer. Really sharing our sufferings. Like it's in the last, about a year or so, or even 6 months, we could even say. I could say we have a really strong team, and it's an honor to work with each and every one of them.
Yeah.
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 Laura, what an amazing organization.
Yes.
So when you look at a community, the health of the community is based on people being connected. Typically, it's through family. Then it's through church. The Scouts, band, the different organizations that are out there to help children and adults find their full potential.
Yep.
But that's not how it always happens.
Right.
And you're one of the organizations that are putting our community back together
Yes.
and trying to patch it before it's tore.
Right.
This is awesome. And fairly new to this area. So, well, is there anything that we have not asked you that you would like to present? Because we could talk forever about love, and that's what you guys are about.
Definitely.
Yes,
know?
that's true.
I would say the ask, we would more have an ask. If you're interested in connecting with us, reach out to us. It's just as simple as just going on, like I said, bethany.org/safefamilies, so we can find a way to connect with other communities who want to build this together. We can't do Safe Families here without the hands and feet of people who are willing to serve, just like Jesus served everybody and loved on everybody. So yeah.
So, if you're an individual that you find this close to your heart, and that's the other thing that we found out is that how do you connect to a community? How do you find what's close to your heart? And if you look out into the community, you'll see that there's people out there that are doing things that are close to your heart. So you're about finding churches, and if you're an individual, you might present this to your church.
Yes.
As an opportunity to get some people involved. If you're more involved in a church, you might want to present this as a mission to get involved in.
Yes.
Super. Elena, you can talk to the people here at the end. Do you have anything you'd like to say to wrap us up here?
I think actually I'm speechless now.
Oh, my.
I know, can you believe it?
No,
You gotta go like, look at it, this camera. This
I know.
Camera, this camera, this camera. We want to love on you. Let us serve you first.
Right, that's right, that's right.
and you don't have to be in need. You could serve people by helping them serve others.
Yes.
That's right.
We can connect the dots.
You connect the dots.
That's what we love to do.
Yes, and you're all precious.
All precious. Lara?
Yes. I think just in closing, I would just reiterate what I've already said. It's an honor to have met you and to hear your hearts and the adventures that you've now been on, maybe for a time, or the new doors that are opening for you. And I'm definitely agreeing and believing with you for the Lord to bring those right people to continue that network and connecting the dots. And I love it. My heart is with you too.
Well, our cup
you
is
so
really
much.
full, even though it's like maybe
Yeah.
3/4
I
empty
think I
right now.
drank.
But
I love that.
because we got an opportunity to connect with not only the community, but be able to do it, through you, and that's an honor.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Yes,
having
of
us. This
course.
is
Let
great.
us know how we can also serve you.
Well, we're connected.
Yes,
We now have a partnership.
Yes.
Yes.
And like all partnerships, if we don't communicate, if we don't share, it's not a partnership. So
This
we
is
expect to hear from
fantastic.
you. We expect to serve you. You're doing great jobs. You guys have huge hearts. I just hope something that you do not expect to happen today happens to you.
oh, that's
And
wonderful.
so now you have something to anticipate.
Yes.
Go around and look for it. On behalf of Lara, Weibel, and myself, I would like to thank you for coming in and spending time with Elaine Shenk and John Dizon, who are with the Safe House program with the Bethany Christian Services. Sorry. And, if go to their website, find out more about them, connect with them, give them a call, volunteer. If you do not have the time to volunteer, unfortunately, you could spend some type of time, but if you can't, I'm sure they're willing to take donations.
Absolutely.
So, as usual, thanks for watching this segment of Open House. Be kind, be healthy, and here's where I usually say, remember you're the best, but remember you're precious.
Yes.
So, thanks for watching.